On the edit today, we will be discussing rule of law and domestic violence.
Domestic violence is deep-rooted within the society, and there are a lot of women, I think maybe 6 in 10 women, go through some sort of violence, in their homes or, at work or everywhere. A lot of people shy away from all these things because even if it's your sister that says, oh, okay, so what were you doing there? Or a girl was raped, what were you wearing? It doesn't matter what she was wearing. For example, I'm not trying to justify indecent dressing. Sometimes when you report this kind of people, they pay off, the police or the justice system, because we do not have a functional system. As long as people get bribed and they do what they want, we can never reach where we are. So in a society where there is unfairness and lack of injustice, all these things thrive. The institutions that govern all these laws and stuff is not strengthened. So a lot of people feel ashamed to come out, for the fear of stigma, for the fear of not getting justice, for the fear of maybe what's to come after they have spoken out.
The safety of the people shall be the highest law.
According to William Payne, people are more afraid of the laws of man than that of God because their punishment seems to be the nearest. It's another explosive moment of the edict, and I am Mariam Aminu and I am your host. The edict, just like other days, is a program that sensitizes Nigerians about their rights as citizens granted to them by law and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It also keeps you informed and enlightened about the laws of the land governing every sector in the country. Today with me in the studio is a lady of substance and an outstanding personality. She is ZAINAB BUBA GALADIMA. You are welcome to the show, ma.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. On the edit today, we will be discussing rule of law and domestic violence. You are welcome to the show once again, ma.
Thank you.
All right, ma. As a technical assistant of the Law Advisory Team, Domestic Violence and Sexual Violence Unit in the Office of the Vice President, what is your opinion on domestic violence and sexual violence?
We all know that domestic and sexual violence is underreported, especially in Africa all over the world. But in Africa, because of culture, because of religion, they feel like one doesn't have to have a voice. It's seen as a taboo for you to maybe come out, and say, this is what I'm going through, maybe with your husband or somebody, a member of the family, or maybe another person. So the domestic violence is deep-rooted within the society, and there are a lot of women, I think maybe 6 in 10 women, go through some sort of violence, in their homes or, at work or everywhere. So, and because the institution is not strengthened, the institutions that govern all these laws and stuff is not strengthened. So a lot of people feel ashamed to come out, for the fear of stigma, for the fear of not getting justice, for the fear of maybe what's to come after they have spoken out. So there's a lot of advocacy going on, and a lot of women are starting to own up. Most women, they do not come out to say, okay, I'm going through this in my marriage or at home, because they're not empowered. They are dependent on that abuser, or they're being threatened, by,
situations of the society.
Yes, and they feel like, okay, what can happen to me if I come out and say? They might come after me, or I might not get the life that I'm used to. But it goes beyond that, really.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note, sexual violence is one thing and domestic violence is another. Which of these two do you think is more rampant in the society, and which one do you suggest that should be tackled immediately?
Well, both are equally important. because we do not have maybe the facilities to be able to determine the percentage or the level because a lot of them are not being reported anyway.
Yes.
But the ones that are mostly, said are the beatings, that's the, domestic violence against the sexual violence,
Okay.
So domestic actually, because, there are house helps and there are orgas, there are, women, so that.
Yeah, it's just so rampant.
Yeah.
Okay, as a technical director, Rolet, you know that women are more vulnerable to domestic violence than men. It's not as if it doesn't happen to the men, it happens, but it happens more with the women. What way does support your team propose to the federal government to put in place to bring the perpetrators of such acts to justice?
Well, we actually focused on the aftermath of the, abuse or the violence. And I think that we should have also tackled the issues of, avoiding it before it happens.
All right.
So that's where I registered an NGO, which is called Hush Not Speak Out. So always, just to create awareness on the steps that you need to take when you sense danger.
Yeah.
We do not have that a lot. We're
Better
always
late than never.
Yeah, we're always reactive, not proactive.
Yes.
So that also is a problem. But the structures that we put together, we created SAC centers, which is sexual assault response centers, for women of abuse and violence in about 8 states. While I was there till 2019, I think a lot have keyed into that. Lagos was one of the first states to have that. So before we came into power, Lagos already had the, I think, Maribel Center where they treat these cases. This is the first step where they will give you, they will tell you, okay, go report at the police station as early as possible. Because normally now, if you go to the police station to report an abuse, the policeman will be like, madam, is he not your husband? That kind of thing. Do you understand? They
I was
beat it
going
down.
to that. We have sexual violence and we have domestic violence. Which one do you think is being dominant in our society today?
Like I said, many of them are not being reported. So there's a lot of domestic violence being reported. Obviously you hear about someone beating his wife, or beating their house help or children or something like that. So because of the aftermath, when you report sexual violence, the stigma, so a lot of people do not want to come forward. So maybe when people are encouraged to come forward, maybe the statistics will change.
Yeah, that would know.
Yes.
Okay, the situation now clouding everything will not let you know the specific figure that is there. All right, now we all know that marriage is a sacred tie between a man and a woman, like it's just between two of them. But you see a situation whereby a woman is being abused verbally, emotionally, and sometimes physically. Because I think this week I saw, just last week, 2 or 3 days ago, I saw it on the news whereby a lawmaker beat his wife to death. Now, what are those things you people put in place to make sure that in marriages, stuffs like this are not being swept under the carpet?
Well, we're not there yet. I left the office in 2019, so I don't know how far they've gone. But what we have done while I was in office is to establish SAC centers, which is the Sexual Assault Response Centers, where they treat victims of violence. They get counseling. They get, counseling on how to get on with life and readjust within, in the society after the, event has happened or after they've reported that. So, but we as Nigerians, we like to be reactive. So what we need to do now is to be proactive, create awareness on how to avoid certain signals. When you see certain signals, on how to avoid them, to be able to curb, the situation. So I don't know how far they've gone, to be honest, because I haven't been there. But I created an NGO called Hush Not Speak Out. It's to create awareness on domestic and sexual violence. We identified, red flags, if you
Since
perceive,
you should watch out for.
yes, watch out for this and this and this. You know, tell your child this. When somebody touches you inappropriately, this is how you scream. Or somebody, if they try such and such and
Speak
such,
up.
yes,
Just
speak
speak
out, so that we avoid all these things. It is better to be proactive than to let it happen. So
Yes.
I think this is something that we need to put on more emphasis on.
All right. Having served in a public office, such as the office of the vice president and all that, do you think there are measures in place to take care of sexual harassment of females in public offices? Do you think there are laws guiding that, and do you think they are effective?
No, they're not that effective because we still have a system that is not functional completely.
Okay.
Once a system is not functional, it is hard to get fairness and justice.
When you say it's not functional, you mean like it's not working, the system is not working entirely?
There are cases where, people get justice, but it's not all of them that, get the proper attention or proper justice that they need to get. For example, there's this recent one about the movie actor, Baba.
Yeah, Baba
Ijesha.
Baba Ijesha, yeah, exactly.
Yes, at the end of the day, he was convicted.
Yeah,
but normally,
that's 1 in a million.
Yes, 1 in a million. Like for example, the lawmaker. He's a lawmaker.
Yes.
He's powerful in the society. So sometimes when you report this kind of people, they pay off, the police or the justice system, because we do not have a functional system. As long as people get bribed and they do what they want, we can never reach where we are. So in a society where there is unfairness and lack of injustice, all these things thrive.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Okay, in a situation whereby you have rape victims being scared, and they suffer this traumatic disorder, which makes them to be scared of speaking out or coming to the public to say this is what happens. Okay, what do you put in place now, like in your organization, that will speak out, right?
Yes.
All right, what do you put in place to support people that are victims of rape, to help them have their sanity back? Because the society definitely do stigmatize against them, especially with due respect in the North.
Well, my NGO is a young one. What I do now is just to create awareness. Tell people these are the red flags when you notice it, or if it happens, this is what there are SAC centers around. Maybe there's one in Yobe, there is in Jigawa, Lagos, a couple of them. And it takes a bit of process to set up the SAC centers. So there are a lot of, they have provision for somebody that can talk to you, but it is not permanent. So they need the support. The government can't do it alone. So they need the family support as well. And normally the families don't really pay attention to that. Africa, we have this thing about you cannot show your weakness, you can't do this, you can't be depressed, you can't do that. But mental health issues are very
vital.
Yes, they're vital and they are very rampant. So a lot of people shy away from all these things because even if it's your sister that says, oh, okay, so what were you doing there? Or a girl was raped, what were you wearing? It doesn't matter what she was wearing. For example, I'm not trying to justify indecent dressing, but that's not the first point. In the first place, any abuser is sick.
Yes.
So, and these people are walking around within the society.
Yeah,
and
they live with us.
Yeah. And because the society has given them the chance to do what they want, because they can't be prosecuted or they cannot be,
and
they're not judged.
Unpunished.
Yes. So they feel like they can do it anyhow, anytime.
All right. Okay. If you're to advise a rape victim or a sexually abused person or a domestic violence, somebody who has faced domestic violence in his or her life, what will you tell her if she's a woman?
If she's going through like mental depression,
yes, she's a victim of either of these traits.
There's a way you approach somebody and you talk to that person. You make them see the brighter part of life. Do you understand? Yes, this has happened to you, but let's move on from it. They can never forget it. It will be registered in their mind, but this is what you can do with it. You can also help other people. You're better than this. Things like that, and give them hope.
Yeah,
once you give them, once you give somebody hope, and they feel like they can, they can get through it and make something out of their life. I think that is very important also as people within the society to actually help.
During your time in office under the Roland department, what were the things you put in place to see that women are being taken along in the society? What are those things that you did to support women, basically?
Well, like I said, we're just in charge of, because under the rule of law advisory team, I'm not a lawyer, so that one is a different department. So under my department, which is domestic and sexual violence, we went across states to establish SAC centers. But I know that there's a law being passed for women, what do you call it, the 35% affirmative action, which did not pass in the House of Assembly, the Assembly, and it was called back because women felt, they were being, ignored. When that bill was going on, there wasn't a lot of awareness. There wasn't a lot of publicity for people to actually know when or what was going on. Yeah. It was after it was rejected. Yeah. And this men will not hand it over to you people, the women. What women need to do is to start, lay the foundation, yes. And when they see the strength in that, project, that is when they cannot shy away from, assisting or helping the bill to, get its way. A lot of women in power, they do not reach out their hands to the people, outside the other women. They don't really do that kind of thing.
Give that support to other women to take them along with them.
They don't do that, and it is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is, of course.
And we lack mentorship. Yeah. We lack support. Most of the women that you see thriving now are being helped by men.
Yeah, definitely.
We call them the he for she.
Yeah, of course. Just the same way they say behind every successful man is a woman.
Women
is the
hardly. They will just, they like to do photo ops. When they're at events, they will say, "Oh, okay, I like to see women up." But what are you doing? So
to see that come to reality.
They're not really doing much because I don't see much women holding my hand, to where I got myself to.
Okay, now talking about holding your hand, you were once a counselor in Abuja. What were some of those challenges you faced during your tenure being a young northern lady?
Well, first of all, there was this boundary that I had because I was educated.
Boundaries?
Yeah, it was a boundary for me because normally when you're in the local government, it's like these people that did not go further in.
Okay.
So when I
Your
came
level
out,
of qualification is not usually that high.
Yes. When I came out and I had like 6-7 degrees, a lot of people were like, "Oh, what's she doing here? She's better than this place." But I believe it's about service.
Yeah.
And I went there. I couldn't make much impact because I was the only opposition out of 12 councillors. Wow. Yes. And the PDP was 11 councillors and the chairman and vice chairman. So I was the only lone voice. So it was a bit of a challenge for me because I tried to push so many things, but they were not, when you're not on the same level, you hardly see that.
Yeah.
They would hardly, give you that support. Yeah. And like I always say, the system too does not allow. The system or the constitution is probably designed for us to fail.
For us to fail, women alone?
Not just women. As a country, I don't feel like it's effective enough to actually see development and progress. Wow. Until it is revisited. That is my own thinking.
Yeah,
that is how I see it. Because, a lot of people will say, "Oh, politicians are corrupt," like we discussed earlier. The civil servants are one of the worst breeds of corruption in this country. Oh. And people only see the politicians, but the politicians can't do anything without the civil servants.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, and they teach them the ropes, and these are things that need to be addressed. For example, if we had a functional system where we lay good foundation, if we do that, a lot of things would be better. If we know that if this person steals this particular amount of money, they get punished, they go to jail, they return the money, they do this, and it is frowned at.
Yeah.
Even if no matter who comes into power, they will behave themselves.
Yes,
but because
definitely.
the system is not functional.
Yeah, because when you hold accountability with high esteem, and everybody will definitely do
there's
the right
no consequences for anybody's action. You know, a lot of people get away with so many crimes, and there's nothing we can do about it, you know. And this is our problem in Nigeria. You know, corruption will be reduced if the system is being strengthened and institutions are, you know, fixed.
Okay, what do you feel? Who are those responsible to do that? Is it you and I, everyone in Nigeria, or just those that enact laws or make the laws, like the legislatives?
Everybody has a role to play.
Okay.
You know, because we as citizens, we do not even know our purpose in this country. We do not even know our rights. How can we expect somebody that is picked from us to go and chant a cause that he probably does not believe in? We have to understand that we need a functional system, and we come up. If you go to a particular place and they tell you to pay bribe, for example, it is not a one-day job. You might lose whatever it is that you're going through. But once, as a collective entity, once we come together and say, look, we're not going to accept this and this and this. For example, the social media, as much as it has its bad influences, it has also its good influences. They call people out when they do that, and they tend to be, they call it the open court. Yeah, do you understand?
Yeah.
So a lot of things are being reversed because of the fear of that.
Social media impact.
Yes. Do you understand? Yeah. So if as a people we demand for that justice and fairness within our society, then these people that we think we elect. And also I always tell young people, oh, we need young people to be at the helm of affairs. Fine, yes. But a lot of young people have disappointed us.
Yeah, are they ready for that?
They're not even ready. They don't even understand what governance or politics is. You know, you just because somebody comes and lies to you and tells you something, then you believe it. No. I believe that a lot of people need to get into politics, especially educated ones. Once you get into politics, be part of the decision making, be part of the policies, be part of everything that goes in a political party. And then you can be able to elect officials that run that party.
Eligible,
yes, and then you will be able to determine who chooses a leader. For example, 7,000 or whatever people chose who will be president because they were induced by money, not by ideology, not by vision, not by anything.
Vision at all.
You know? So how do you expect that person that bought that mandate to come and discharge
and the right responsibility?
Yes, it's not possible.
And serve you when actually bought you, like you said.
For example, in a particular community, if we're going to delegate somebody to go and be a delegate in Abuja, for example, to pick a president, he needs to be morally upright. He needs to be educated. He needs to have vision. He needs to share that. We need to screen him first so that when he goes there, he's not representing his pocket. He's representing the people. So once you know that you're accountable to the people as a delegate, not as a leader. Yeah. So you will be able to know, before you go for that convention, you sit with your community and say, look, I'm going for this. What do you think? These are the people what are the pros and cons? What do these people have to offer?
You should actually represent the people as far as democracy is concerned.
So now you hardly find good people that actually will do well, you know, at the helm of affairs. Yes, that are transparent and accountable and have capacity. It's hard to find this kind of people because you don't look at that. You either look at tribe, you look at religion, or you look at the money. These are the things that drive all these decisions, and this is where we are now as a nation.
Well, that's unfortunate, but I just believe that there should be hope. We should keep hoping and hoping. Nothing lasts forever. No condition is permanent. Okay, that will take me to my next question for you, which is, how do you see the future of women in Nigerian politics? You've been in the political terrain, so I'm sure you have an idea. So what do you think is the future of women?
Like I always say, women need to come together. And I've seen a trend. A lot of women now are coming together, but it goes beyond talking.
Yeah.
You know, I'm tired of going to seminars, you know, conferences and, you know, being asked to talk and then you come, you sweet mouth me, and I don't like that. I prefer action. Hold each other's hands. We need to come together. If not, the future is blurry. Not just for women, for all of us, because our country is sinking.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so once we have that mentorship, you know, the spirit of the purpose, you know, the will.
Yeah, that patriotism to want to make the country work.
Yes. So that. And once we come together, as one and think alike, we need to stand for something, not for, so we won't be able to fall for anything.
Okay, right now, by virtue of your profile and everything, you are a politician. So how do you see yourself in the political terrain in the future, in the next few years to come?
Well, I don't see, because I'm the kind of person that is straight to the point. I have a principle, that drives me, and my sense of conviction is very high. If something is wrong, you will never get me in the middle of it. So people like me do not survive long, or do not get placed properly. Do you understand? They do not get placed properly because it is a threat to their interest
of people who are occupying seats over there.
So now in politics, what we see is who is behind you, who is your father. Godfather. Yes, and who is your godfather, who is your father, who is your godfather. Are you in our camp? Do you speak the same language as we do? So, and I don't tick any of the boxes. Maybe who is your father might, but because my father and I, we belong to two different parties.
Beautiful.
So
the prodigal child.
Yes, and I get bypassed because of his opinions, which is okay. It is a growth system. There will be a time where these people will not be there. It's all, everything is a matter of time. Some of them were houseboys before, but now they're dealing with the big boys now. But it's okay. Everything you do, you have to persevere. You have to have the resilience, the patience to be able to move your agenda or your vision, forward. And without courage, like I always say, if you do not have the courage to withstand the storm, you will fall.
So should we expect more of you in politics in future, or?
It depends on the environment. Like I said, it depends on the environment, and it depends on what I see. And I prefer now to get somewhere just to serve than to run for office, because it's less, I prefer to be in the background.
It's going to be much more functional for you.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. My last question to you: what would be your advice to women in politics?
Women in politics.
Yes.
If you're going to come into politics, you have to be less emotional. You have to be strong. You have to be focused on what your vision is, because it's not about the side distractions. It is about where you're going to.
Yeah.
And you have to have the resilience, the patience, the courage. You have to be strong. And if you're none of that, you can't go far. You can't go far. And no matter how much is thrown at you, no matter the challenges, and you still pick yourself up and go, you will go a long way, because there will come a time whereby they will say, oh, please, let's just get this person in so that at least we don't have to see her face at the other side. Yeah. So, and with time, my father told me something when President Buhari came into power in 2015. He called me, he said, Zainab, it's not about winning, elections. I want you to register it in your mind that it is not by your qualification, it is not by your capacity, it is not by your sacrifice, it is not by your commitment or whatever, but it is by your time and your...
The impact you're going to create while you're on this.
No, it is... That's before getting to the office. Right. Don't say because you have contributed so much and you feel like you're entitled to that. That is when you get that. No, it is by your time and your luck. Yes, and your luck. Yeah. So whatever gets, you might think that you have arrived, but as if he saw it coming, as if he saw the challenges I was going to face. So he told me it was by my time.
He did, actually.
Yes. So, and when I went through what I went through, I always remember that, and that was what kept me grounded. Because there are times when I wake up and I felt like giving up. I felt like just what, I'm not doing this. But once I remember that it's about time, and if you're not lucky, you might be close to so many people in power, which I am, but they haven't really made an impact on my life.
Yeah.
You know, they just look at me like a wall and they just bypass me, and it's okay because they are doing their time and my time will come and I will remind them.
That's a beautiful
Yes,
one.
I will remind them.
Well, these are beautiful words coming from a very, very strong woman that I actually admire her zeal, her courage. It's wonderful, Zainab, having this discussion with you. Thank you very much for coming. And this is how far we can go on today's edition. I am indeed informed, and I believe our viewers do as well. I remain your favorite host, Mariam Aminu, until I come your way again next edition with another stunning topic to keep you informed about your rights as a citizen of Nigeria and also the laws governing the nation. Until then, stay happy, stay safe, and out of trouble. Remember, the safety of the people shall be the highest law. Have a good day.